एक्नी को बहुत सिंपल लिया जाता है. एक्नी जिस पर्सन को होती है ना, उससे पूछा जाए कि उसकी लाइफ कितनी डिफिकल्ट है. एक्नी इज अ वेरी वेरी डिस्ट्रेसिंग एंड डिसेबलिंग डिजीज फॉर द पर्सन.
Hello and Assalamualaikum everyone, and welcome to the 10th episode of Let's Talk Pakistan, a podcast where we discuss everything from global issues to tech updates. Skincare is something that is one of the major medical industries today, with exponential growth seen over the last few decades. A recent encounter with acne led me to seeing a dermatologist and seeing how I saw skincare myself, so I only saw it fitting to invite Dr. Nida Eily to the podcast. Dr. Nida is a dermatology practitioner in Mayo Hospital and runs her own clinic in Sheikhupura, where from she has joined us today. I requested her to come to the podcast and shed some light on why going to a dermatologist is something which might not be on the top of the list of doctors we see regularly, all the while skincare industry is blowing up. I also wanted to learn about the difference between skincare and dermatology, and how dermatology is something that is beyond the aesthetics industry. At the end of the podcast, I asked her for some skincare tips and some dermatology related questions I had thought of while I was using some skincare products. So let's hear from Dr. Nida Eily. Assalam alaikum, welcome to the podcast.
Walaikum Salam, thank you so much for inviting me.
So before we actually begin with asking you the question, I'd like to just start with introducing a little bit of what I know about dermatology and how I see it. So ये intro मैंने काफ़ी यानी कि I read a little bit of 2 to 3 articles और उसके बाद मैंने ये intro जो है ना लिखा था. तो ये थोड़े से मुझे जिस तरह होते हैं ना researched articles, उसमें से थोड़ी सी dermatology की history, because a lot of people don't know, और काफ़ी लोग सोचते हैं कि dermatology is something that is very recent और बड़ा नया concept है. तो हमें यानी कि जब लोग सोचते हैं मेडिकल एडवांसमेंट के बारे में, they don't think about skin care a lot. But as the practice of medicine has evolved and improved over the years, so has the practice of caring for body's largest organ, which is the skin. The earliest evidence of skincare and makeup comes from ancient Egypt, where preserving youth was a strong theme in their culture, not too dissimilar from today's times. However, they used rather natural ingredients like castor, sesame, and moringa oils. They also use olive oils and clay mixtures to cleanse their skins, milk masks to moisture, and Dead Sea salts to exfoliate. Additionally, the makeup they created had two purposes: to help decorate their skin and also to protect them from the harsh elements of the sun and desert. Again, not too different from the dermatology today. So in the pre-1900 era, skincare was a privilege rather. Not everyone had access to it. So, but after in the 20th century and in the late 19th century, this became very mainstream, in a sense that, for example, sunscreen, which a lot of us are very familiar with today, it actually was created in 1944 for the first time. This also meant that beauty products stopped being a privilege and became readily available for a lot of people. और आज जो है, the practice of dermatology and skincare has grown arithmetically. Today, according to a research, the skincare and the dermatology industry is going to reach almost $189 billion by 2025. This is up from $99.3 billion in 2012, which is a big change in just 12 years. So I read a little bit of research जो मैं quote करूँगा before asking the question. So I read a little bit of research from a company called Gartner, which wrote, amid what was feared to be a retail apocalypse during the last several years, beauty remained a bright spot, in part due to a swarm of new market entrants and product innovation in the color cosmetics category. While innovation in color cosmetics brought short-term gains, consumer preferences are shifting. Both traffic to color cosmetics brand sites and the search volumes for category keywords have declined, forcing legacy brands to identify pockets of growth. In the place of waning customer interest in color cosmetics, skincare has actually grown. Brands are trying to secure a piece of the pie, yet face an increasing competition from smaller and very indie brands, with, for example, local brands, right? And similarly, today, in my opinion, consumers are more health conscious and wellness conscious than ever before. New breaking trends such as Ayurvedic herbs, CBD, natural dental care, unplugging devices, developing personal rituals and gratitude are just one few of the many emerging ways people are trying to take care of themselves in the way today. A lot of these trends which are very mainstream today, it must be noted that they were a woo industry almost 10 to 20 years ago. That means almost in just a span of 20 years, this industry has seen immense growth. So now that you get the idea of how industry has actually established, हम मिस निदा से थोड़े से सवाल पूछेंगे कि when we talk about dermatology, I read that this dermatology, it came from, this is a very as we discussed, the skincare
Ancient old subject.
Yep. And the modern dermatology, it came from Germany and France rather than America. So आप थोड़ा सा हमें बताएं कि what is dermatology and how do you see it developing in Pakistan and overall in the world, और हमें साथ साथ बताएं कि ये important क्यों है?
Yeah. Okay, first of all, I would really like to appreciate you for such comprehensive research. Some things I didn't even know before. I would like to correct a little bit information you shared. Actually, it's a dilemma, I would say, or an unfortunate thing that today skin or dermatology has been limited to aesthetics and beautification of yourself, your skin color. But since we were medical students and we have been studying this subject for over 5 or 6 years, dermatology is much more than that. It's much more than your skin rejuvenation or anti-aging process and all that. It encompasses thousands and thousands of debilitating, chronically debilitating diseases, and the patient cannot live with it. So as compared to medicine, general medicine, cardiovascular diseases, and endocrinology and other diseases, dermatology itself is a very, very serious subject. It's not just about celebrity enhancement of their look. So your question was very valid, that what basically is dermatology? As you already mentioned very correctly, that skin is the largest organ of our body, and it has multiple purposes. Not just, obviously, one has to look good, not just for others, for your own self. Yes. But the major role skin plays in our daily life is our temperature regulation. It protects us from all the environmental, infections, all the external harmful factors which can, damage our internal organs as well. So skin has a very, very important role to play, not just our looks, but much more than that. And yeah, it's very ancient, very, very ancient subject, because when we were studying, and our professors used to name very, very difficult diseases. Now, when we look into the dictionary, we cannot find these words in any American, language or any such thing. But these diseases were mostly, as you have already mentioned, Egyptian and Greek scientists first studied them. That's why the name of most of the dermatological diseases are very difficult. It's the name of a single disease comprises of 4 to 5, syllables. So it is a whole new world of, once you get to know it, then, many things get clear to you.
Exactly. I was reading a research, just basically it was an article, not a research, about history of dermatology over the years. उसमें लिखा हुआ था कि in 1839 जो modern dermatology की जो पहली disease जो German dermatologist थे, Johann Lucas Schollin something, he
Mhm.
discovered the fungal origin of favu or favis. I don't know how to pronounce this. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
it's a fungal infection in the
so
scalp. Mhm.
yeah, so this was, as you said rightly, ke it goes beyond the idea of that's the skincare that we know today, or
Yeah,
it actually addresses a lot of the problems that there are.
yeah,
बट
definitely.
मैं
Mhm.
आपसे बेसिकली अभी एक बात करूंगा कि why my own interest developed in this whole podcast, क्योंकि dermatology is a subject not a lot of people are talking about, especially अब हम जिस तरह पाकिस्तान की बात करते हैं, ठीक है, तो आपका क्लिनिक अब एक ऐसे एरिया में है जो एक मेन स्ट्रीम शहर नहीं है. इट इज अ बिग सिटी, इट इज अ ग्रोइंग सिटी, शेखुपुरा,
Mhm.
but but even then people are hesitant to as you yourself said, आपने कोई किसी के साथ आप बात करी थी तो I listened in the I eavesdropped कि आपने कहा कि in areas like Sheikhupura even, जो कि like it's very close to Lahore, so very close to the urban population, right? वहाँ पे भी dermatology is something which people are still hesitant about, or people would rather go to do
A quack.
yeah a quack or some doctors that are not that effective, और कुछ ऐसी medicines लेंगे जो like which Greek medicine for example, which has some impacts. We won't get into whether it has an impact or not, but the idea was कि मेरे जहन में ये बात आई थी कि लोगों को अभी तक डर्माटोलॉजी को लोग उस तरह नहीं देखते जिस तरह बाकी
Definitely,
प्रोफेशंस को देखते हैं एज
definitely,
पेशेंट्स, राइट?
definitely.
सो आप मुझे थोड़ा सा
Exactly.
बताएं कि ये ऐसा क्यों है?
हम्म आई वुड से कि थोड़ा सा अवेयरनेस लेवल कम है, एजुकेशन लेवल कम है. दूसरा, there is this obsession with looking fair. That is why most of the girls, most of the women which present to our clinic, they've already applied thousands and thousands of, skin lightening agents. You can number thousands of creams, over-the-counter medication available हैं अभी, जो claim करती हैं कि 3 days में, 7 days में, 2 weeks में रंग हो रहा. So yeah, you are right कि अगर कोई if someone is suffering from any cardiovascular issue, he's hypertensive, his blood pressure shoots, we immediately go to the medical emergency. But if something happens to the skin, people are more prone to apply some home remedy, right? Today, even a patient presented to me and he had applied he called that dadar booty to
Okay.
cure a small slight reddish area on his baby's face, and that had resulted in an acute irritant dermatitis. It
Oh,
would look like a burn. So that was very very depressing to me, and you are right that people do not take skin as seriously as they take their other organs like brain or heart or kidneys. They immediately google for the best consultant available. And this awareness is prevailing not just in Sheikhupura. I would say I found these things in Lahore as well, because I have worked in Mayo Hospital, and people present in tertiary care hospital after trying every other thing they find, and when they come to the last stage, and when then they find that things they are gone out of their hands, and they present to the tertiary care hospital. They're what to do now. So it is happening everywhere in Pakistan, I guess. And I think the major reason is lack of education.
so that is why exactly यही बात थी जो मुझे बेसिकली ये पॉडकास्ट करने का जो मकसद था, थोड़ी सी अवेयरनेस रेज करना कि हाउ
Definitely.
डर्माटोलॉजी स्किन केयर का क्या है, मतलब कि आई वांटेड टू नो अबाउट व्हाट स्किन केयर इज अपार्ट फ्रॉम डर्माटोलॉजी. और जिस तरह आपने पढ़ा शुरू में ही डिफाइन कर दिया कि दीज आर टू वेरी डिफरेंट थिंग्स, और जैसे कि आपने बताया कि स्किन इज द लार्जेस्ट ऑर्गन ऑफ द बॉडी, सो दैट मीन्स अ लॉट ऑफ डिफरेंट थिंग्स आर हैपनिंग. ठीक है, इट इज समथिंग that relates a lot to the medical science, or it's just not just about applying anti-aging creams, etc., etc. So
Brightening cases.
exactly. So what exactly is when you see today's skin care products, और आज की जब आप skin care देखती हैं, जो कि our generation, my generation specifically, Gen Z and millennials, a lot of us are crazy about skincare. in Pakistan अभी there is a trend all over the world, जिस तरह के मैंने आपको बताया कि intro में कि there is a movement towards natural and organic products, but simultaneously there are dangerous steroid infilled creams and steroid infilled uh, anti-aging agents and so much that's going on. So why is such a thing become a part of our society? Like, was that always there, and what is the impact of this whole thing that's happening around us?
Actually, you termed the medicine steroid. Steroid is, I would say, the backbone of our speciality. चीजें कहाँ पे गलत होती हैं? When you use the right medicine at the wrong place, in the wrong dosage, in the wrong concentration, right? Steroids are indicated for many dermatological diseases, but their strength, their indication on which body area you have to apply it, that matters. Problem kahan pe hoti hai? When obviously steroid is something which has acute effects. It gives you immediate effects. So some of the companies started choosing steroids for immediate lightening effect on the face. Some potent steroids, right? So the skin of your face is the skin of every part of your body is different, in number of melanocytes, in its texture, in its strength, thickness. हर body area की indication अलग है. So if you go to the right person, you go to doctor, basically यहाँ पे problem क्या हो रहा है? People are going to salons, people are going to beauticians for their skin. Every other person has started giving skin advice. You switch on your TV, every other person is giving on skin advice on the morning show. So that is the problem. कोई भी चीज गलत नहीं है. Problem कहाँ पे है? When you are using it in the wrong way. So problem is not in the medicine, problem is in yourself, in your own self. Indications को समझें. Eczema, psoriasis, there are a number of very very serious and chronic debilitating diseases where steroids are indicated. Connective tissue diseases, it's a very complicated topic, but problem क्या है कि हमारे यहाँ बेसिक प्रॉब्लम ये है कि हमारे यहाँ समझा जाता है कि स्किन का जो डॉक्टर है वो एक्नी ट्रीट करता है, पिंपल्स ट्रीट करता है, या इचिंग, खारिश ट्रीट करता है. एक्नी को बहुत सिंपल लिया जाता है. एक्नी जिस पर्सन को होती है ना, उससे पूछा जाए कि उसकी लाइफ कितनी डिफिकल्ट है. एक्नी इज अ वेरी वेरी डिस्ट्रेसिंग एंड डिसेबलिंग डिजीज फॉर द पर्सन. वी शुडंट से कि एक्नी एक ऐसी चीज है जो जिसका स्केल अगर हम करें तो वो कार्डियोवैस्कुलर डिजीजेस जो उनके मुकाबले में कम है. एक्नी इज द नंबर 1 कॉज ऑफ डिप्रेशन एंड एंजाइटी इन यंगस्टर्स. इनको सिवियर डिग्री की एक्नी होती है. So you have to go to the right person with your problem. You cannot go to any should not go for over-the-counter medication for your such debilitating problem. I must say that is the problem. I would say. Not the medication.
Very interestingly, जो आपने बात की है, मैं इससे it actually gives me the segue to enter into a very interesting discussion जो मैं अगली सोच रहा था. वो ये है कि when you talk about skincare, you talked about how there are so many programs जो go online every day and they give these herbal or otherwise treatments for skincare which are not, for example. So what I want to say is that a dermatologist is a last resort for every person in Pakistan, and at least what I have seen, right? So what people would rather do is they'd rather open YouTube and watch a tutorial. They'd rather watch a morning show perhaps, or some ad, or go to the nearest pharmacy or dispensary and
they would go to the pharmacy and they would ask the person standing there that what should I do for these things on my face.
Exactly. So इस पे मेरा अब ये सवाल है कि is there इस पे मेरे दो सवाल हैं basically. Number one, is there a lack of dermatologists in Pakistan, which is like leading to a lack of awareness? Number two, is government doing anything about it? Is DRAP, which is like the regulatory body, is that doing anything about it? Because you see, when a lot of these skincare agents that exists, that exist do have mercury and toxic elements like hydroquinone, which which are bleaching agents that a lot of people use for and in the whitening cream, right? So if I'm right, because I'm just read
Yeah, I would like to add a
yeah,
little bit here.
yeah,
You named hydroquinone.
yeah,
Actually, hydroquinone is the first line treatment for melasma, but you cannot prescribe hydroquinone to every other person. It's a treatment for, it's a first line treatment of melasma. Yeah, it has been reported that it has certain side effects, but studies are lacking. I cannot give a final statement about that. But hydroquinone itself is not harmful, but you have to use a certain formulation of this ingredient to
yeah.
treat your skin condition. Yeah,
Exactly.
go ahead, you first.
वही बात मैं करना चाह रहा हूँ कि when we talk about all these companies that exist in Pakistan, which are because our pharmaceutical sector is not that regulated compared to abroad, right? और हमारी हाँ बहुत सी ऐसी companies हैं मैं नाम नहीं लेना चाहूँगा but they're very famous, or I don't know if they're actually regulating the amount of hydroquinone if they're adding it as a bleaching agent. For example, अभी आपने कहा कि it can be administered as a medication, right? But then under a person like yourself who's done all these degrees, who knows what kind of quantity and what levels of hydroquinone is needed for a specific person, even in a case of the disease you just mentioned, right? तो मेरा ये सवाल है कि is DRAP doing anything about it, और दूसरा ये कि is dermatologist are dermatologists in does Pakistan lack dermatologists as large?
No, I would not agree. I think there are many good dermatologists. Even in Sheikhupura, I find good qualified dermatologists, but there is a tendency towards, paying to doctors. People pay to brands, people pay to salons, they pay to restaurants, but when it comes to paying to doctor, they think twice or thrice. I would say this is what I have experienced. And coming to the, I don't know about any, legalization about that. I'm lacking that information. But I think that if I compare, many of my colleagues have gone abroad, Middle East, America, England, etc., etc. When I talk to them and I compare the conditions here and there, I definitely find a thing which is lacking, that in these countries, it's not very easy to practice medicine unless you are having a license. I would share an incident that maybe yesterday or before that, a patient came to me and he was very proud of the fact that I'm a pharmacist, but I am doing GP practice and have a very good average of patients. And he had absolutely no fear of this information. He came to me for his badness actually, and he had no fear of sharing this information with me. He was proud of the fact that maybe he would be having more patients than me. Yeah, so definitely I'm not sure about any legal process or the technicalities which you are asking, but I fear and I feel that legalization process is very much lacking in Pakistan. And as far as your question is concerned about dermatologists, there is a huge amount of good dermatologists, I would say. All you have to do is uh, search for a doctor. I would like to share my experience with these online applications like Oladoc, Marham, etc. They are good in the sense that they only register a qualified PMC approved dermatologist or any other doctor, endocrinologist, gynecologist, whatever. So if you book a doctor through these applications, there are very less chances that you are going to encounter a quack or any other person who is doing practice, but he's not a doctor. So that is my view on that.
So there are some questions जो as a person जो मुझे लगते हैं कि when we talk about, so because dermatology is something जो कि a lot of people will not understand. We've talked about the situation in Pakistan, and we've talked about how there is a need to actually remove the stigma with actually going to actually real doctors rather than going to quacks and going to dispensary yourself and asking for a certain medicine after just googling or going to WebMD and finding something, right? So we've established that, of course, but Now coming to skincare again, because I believe skincare is something which is becoming so mainstream that it's there are some questions which I personally have, and a lot of people around me have that a dermatologist needs to answer, or these are uh, some things which you need to answer as a dermatologist. Because for example, मेरा पहला सवाल है कि what products जो हैं, कौन सी ऐसी products हैं जो हर रूटीन में लोगों के पास स्किन केयर के लिए होनी चाहिए?
Yeah, that is a very good question. Uh, there are two things which your skin requires, even if you are healthy, even if you don't have any pathology. That is a good moisturizer and a good sunblock. This is all you need. The problem is that we use all, you name anything and we have used it, but we don't use these two things. This is what I have noticed. So a good moisturizer, which is having some basic ingredients, not a very fancy product, not very complicated thing. A simple moisturizer you apply on your face maybe twice or once a day. And the thing which you need the most is sunscreen, as you have already mentioned in the start, because that has so many benefits that I cannot name it here. It prolongs it, decrease the phases of photo aging. It protects your skin from all the harmful rays, the UV radiations, UVA, UVB. That are some technical terms, and it protects you from skin cancers. So these are the two basic things. And if you ask me about daily skincare routine, then you can maybe add a toner or maybe some eye ointment. That's it, to apply on your bags. That's it. For skin, I always tell my patients that keep things simple. There's something which you have to apply daily on your face. To keep things simple. People are not satisfied if we don't prescribe them 4, 5, or 6 lotions. So you don't have to over treat or over tease your skin.
So yeah, perfect. I totally understand. So when we talk about uh, a substance that is very regularly used, which is known as collagen, so it is something that is used. Do they actually work?
Okay. Uh, Basically, if you apply something topically and you want effects intradermally, on your dermal part of the skin, then you have to understand this thing that it may be requiring a very long time and it may be having placebo effect. That is to say, very, very slow effect. Uh, some hyaluronic acid-based moisturizers are useful for your skin, but if you are talking about collagen, collagen is something which is not present on your skin surface. Now it's present deep down at
Yes.
dermis level. So it's not possible that something which is present 2 layers down would act if you apply it topically on your face, right? But we try these things with our hydrofacial machines, and but I would suggest that these things work when you apply them intradermally inside the skin.
Okay. और like मेरा एक सवाल है regarding uh, injectables. So this is becoming
Yeah.
a something that
Obviously.
is very common, right, in Pakistan or
Mhm.
बाहर भी. तो मेरा ये सवाल है कि what is, because a lot of the time people are like यार अगर आप इस certain age से कम हो या इस certain age से ज़्यादा हो तो फिर injectables लगवाने चाहिए, or then only then you should go to a dermatologist and talk about treating this via injectables, right? Or कोई
You are talking about whitening injections.
all
Whitening
sort
injections.
of injectables, right? Aging
Okay.
injections भी होते हैं, ठीक है, whitening भी होते हैं, or like uh, a lot of different
Okay.
injectables exist in the dermatology, as you know yourself.
Yeah.
So what
Okay.
is the
Yeah.
right age overall कि कब इंसान को जाना चाहिए कि अब it is okay कि मैं जाऊं किसी dermatologist के पास और injections लगवाऊं?
Okay. As far as the whitening injections are concerned, I never encourage my patients for that, because we have to understand that there are 6 skin types, and this is decided by God. We cannot fight against that. We fall in the category of skin type 2, 3, 4 maybe. So we cannot fight against that. We can improve it a little bit by constant application of sunblock. But patients are so much, stubborn upon the fact that please uh, do something that our whole skin, the skin of our from tip to toe, it becomes white. So that is not possible, and I never encourage that. But I have worked in setups where injections are being prescribed. I would not say that there is any age, suggested age for that. But if you're talking about needles and microneedling, then obviously if a patient has aged above 35 or so, then we prescribe such procedures, because before that you already have enough collagen and elastin, in your skin. So you don't need these things. You should, cope with some topical medications and do not go right away for these invasive procedures. And yeah, that's
Yeah,
all.
so another question jo ke bada important I believe because a lot of people would be thinking about it is does diet affect acne? Because acne is something जिसके बहुत ज़्यादा breakouts होते हैं or both in both genders, and um, does any particular food actually cause
Okay.
acne, or is there any food that one can eat to like get rid of acne? किस तरह काम करता है?
Okay, so personal experiences vary, but being a doctor, I have the responsibility of telling any certified information. Whenever we say that this thing or that thing is harmful for you, we have to, quote any certified study or literature for that. So while we were, studying acne in our med school and in our residency, uh, we couldn't find any particular, diet ingredient or proved diet ingredient that this is harmful or this can enhance your acne. But generally, we advise young girls, mostly young girls and boys come to us. So I always advise them to drink a lot of water and eat fruits and vegetables and stay away from junk food.
Okay.
It's as simple as that. Chiknai, chini, chawal, generally come kare. This is good for your overall well-being. But I would not say that they have a direct link with acne. Acne is caused by a bacteria, right? And we have to treat that pathology. It may play a role, but very little role.
I asked this question because मैंने एक certain study पढ़ी थी. Basically it was from a book known as it titles Dealing with a Breakout.
Okay.
So it talks about acne a lot, right? So उसमें
Okay.
उन्होंने कहा कि there are foods such as which have high glycemic index. So
Glycemic index.
yeah, so
That is the same thing. Double chini chiknai.
okay, so yeah, exactly. So
Mhm.
those are the foods that one should avoid that actually cause inflammation in your
Yeah, we
body.
generally tell patients to, but if you would quote, मतलब उन्होंने किसी study through ये reduction निकाला या it was
It
opinion
was just a person named Dr. Robinson.
observation.
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
So
Okay. He's right. He's right.
so yeah, another question which I basically what I did was I went to little different websites and I thought about all the questions that if I basically searched some surveys, etc. Not surveys, some discussions.
Studies.
Yeah, some forums basically like Reddit वगैरह वहाँ पे I had certain questions जो कि बड़े famous थे जो सब लोग dermatologist से पूछते हैं. तो आई थॉट कि क्यों नहीं हम भी पूछें बिकॉज वो सारी स्टडीज अंग्रेजी में थी और सारा. तो आई थॉट इट बेटर कि हम लोग भी थोड़ी सी अपनी पॉडकास्ट में वही सवाल पूछें और आप उनको फर्स्ट हैंड एज अ डर्मेटोलॉजिस्ट हम एक्सप्लेन कर दें. अगला मेरा ये सवाल है कि retinol, there was a question about retinol. So the question asked कि जो retinol है, can it be used on a sensitive skin?
Okay, retinol is basically a vitamin A derivative, and it definitely has a role in your overall skin proliferation enhance करता है. I don't know what they mean by sensitive, but whenever we are prescribing this as a serum, we always prescribe the patient, or we always advise him to use it चावल के दाने के बराबर in such a small amount, because that is a very very concentrated medicine. It is not कि only sensitive skin को हम advise करेंगे. This is for for whole population, right? You always use in diluted form, use it in a very small amount, pea sized, and you apply it very carefully once a day. And always, we always advise patients to use it as a test dose and then, continue it in their routine. Yeah, that it's definitely a strong medicine, strong topical medicine.
और मेरा एक और सवाल है कि when we talk about medicine a lot, right? Because antibiotics, we've heard growing up के अगर आप कोई medicine बहुत ज़्यादा खाएं तो your body sort of gets acclimated to it, और उसके बाद you have to take a higher potency medicine to actually deal with the same disease. So is that true for like things like sunscreen और इस तरह की जिस तरह अभी हमने बात की है agents की, is that true for them as well?
Okay, if you go to the core, why does anybody develop resistance to an antibiotic? Because antibiotics are working against bacteria, and bacteria are very clever. They're very clever organisms. What they do is if you are giving a certain person an antibiotic for a long time against a certain bacteria, he changes his genomics in such a way that he's able to fight against that and that antibiotic. But if you come to sunscreen, they are not against any bacteria, right? You are applying it as a barrier to protect yourself from UV. So we do not develop resistance. There is a certain amount of sunscreen which you have to apply, and according to our books, you have to apply it your whole life. And it's very, very beneficial for your skin, and you do not develop resistance to it.
Okay. Perfect. Now I have asked a lot of important questions. अब मेरा अगला जो theme है ना वो sort of we've discussed dermatology as an issue at large. We've discussed skincare, the problems, the common questions that people ask. Lastly, we're going to discuss, I had in mind a little bit of the social impact of the skincare and rising standards of beauty and beautification and the role of social media. So because a lot of these if you some of the most highly ranked companies are for example, there's I know of some on the top of my head, Neutrogena, Huda Beauty or something. Yeah, so these two I know. So one of these are among the top 10 probably. Yeah, so my question is that how has social media changed things? Because it has. There is a lot of research that ever since social media, even 2019, there was a company, there's a big company called Sephora. Sephora had a case where they actually were using fake user reviews on Instagram to actually pull people towards their products. So it shows that a lot of people are attracted to these brands by social media. So आप मुझे थोड़ा सा बताएं कि in your case, have you seen because you practice these things and a lot, you see a lot of patients. Do you see this idea of beautification being a part of this colonial culture, or is तरह के do people actually who have dark skin do they actually feel superior, inferior, and is there still a demand for whitening agents and whitening instant whitening products in Pakistan?
This is such a dilemma. Social media and also digital media, they have such a huge responsibility, but unfortunately, they are very, very irresponsible, I would say. Social media, print media, everywhere, they have, projected a model. Their idea is that if there's a young girl who has a central role in any, short film or drama or movie, she has to be this perfect model of beauty. Whether it's her skin tone, it's her hair, it's her body figure, and this is this has such a poisoning effect. And we have reached a mature age, but the teenagers, the young girls, they are very immature. And what these whole campaigns are doing is that they are first of all killing their self-esteem. They are telling them that you have no other, escape route if you are not good looking, if you are not fair. So I am totally against these all these campaigns. They are really really very responsible, and I would say that it's not just social media; it's our overall society as well. You go to any household, you overhear any conversation of a group of women mostly. Uh, they are always judging, mostly judging, I would say, young girls by their looks. Nothing actually matters. And I'm not talking about all the entire society, but I would say 60 to 70% are having this mindset. And what it is doing, it is putting a huge pressure on our young girls, women, I would say men as well. It's not just women, men as well, but women are suffering more as far as our society are concerned. And while we were doing OPD, government OPD for skin, I would tell you, and you would be surprised that 80% women, whether married or unmarried, were suffering from this constant pressure from their husbands, fiancés, or Susral, I would say, to look beautiful, to look younger. So one has to age. We have to accept it, and we
Exactly.
cannot stay young our entire life. So we have to be realistic for everybody.
Yeah, these certainly do exist. एक मैंने एक research पढ़ी थी. I've actually opened this in front of me. I'll even link it in the description. It is about skincare in social media, analyzing prominent themes in online dermatologic discussions. So this research, it takes from a Reddit forum, which is skincare addiction. It has around 1.2 million users. और इस पे they actually saw 300, they analyzed 300 posts, और उससे उनको जो 4 main topics discuss हुए वो मिले थे. Number 1 जो most discussed social media पे चीज है, that is discussion of skincare and advice on routines and products. So a lot of people are going to social media for 2 reasons. Their brands are present over there, and a lot of dermatologists are certified, not exactly dermatologists, people who've also done some courses, or is tarah ke log who are related to the cosmetic industry rather. They've developed these platforms for their own uh, monetary gains, ठीक है? Or a lot of people become prey to those people. और लोग जाते हैं, young people, especially uninformed young people, they go there and they get trapped. So
Definitely.
मैं इन चारों पॉइंट्स को अलग-अलग डिस्कस करूंगा. So how do you think social media का क्या रोल होना चाहिए on, because as you said yourself, a lot of disinformation exists, ठीक है? तो क्या आप क्या कहेंगी इस हम इस पॉडकास्ट पे के एडवाइस के लिए फिर कहाँ जाना चाहिए?
Okay. So basically, I would say that the problem doesn't lie in the social media. It lies in the fake users. So what we can do is we have to educate ourselves. I would say that the problem of 80%, the solution of 80% problem lies in education, educating yourself. It's not a very difficult task. If you are googling it, if you are using a YouTube channel, even very good doctors, very qualified doctors have made their YouTube channels, and they are presenting it in a very good way. They are providing very genuine and good information. So you should know that which channel or which route you have to take. It's up to you. So and the other thing about this whole fake user thing, I don't know if we can do anything about it. The responsibility lies with the government. I have no idea that how are they going to control it, because today it is the norm that everyone has the front camera in their phone. All you have to do is you have to write down 4 or 5 or 6 lines, and there is no credibility for that. You just record it, and you just make it a bit attractive. What are the methods to make something attractive, and you put it on social media, and you get a lot of views. for that. So it's a very unfortunate thing, and it's growing so fast, and I have no idea that how is this going to, how the
So
situation going to.
so I'll be the devil's advocate here in favor of social media. uh, Actually ये जो forum है जिसकी मैं बात की skin care addiction, it actually has been very helpful according to research जो थी ना मैंने जिसकी आपको जिक्र किया उसकी conclusion ये
Mhm.
थी कि this ठीक है इस प्लेटफॉर्म पे लॉट ऑफ फेक यूजर्स एग्जिस्ट और वो इस तरह भी बट सब रेडिट के अंदर बेसिकली देयर इज रेडिट एंड देन देयर इज सब रेडिट तो सब रेडिट के अंदर देयर आर अ लॉट ऑफ dermatologists over there as well which are who are
Mhm.
there guide people, so a lot of discussion is taking place on a lot of companies and the fake products that exist in the market. So in a way, uh,
Mhm.
while we say
Yeah,
that
definitely.
it is very dangerous, it
Social
is
media is very helpful if someone is trying to spread a genuine information.
exactly.
Definitely, now it has become the norm. Many of my colleagues have started, their YouTube channels, and they're, uploading very good videos. So problem is not in the social media,
Yeah,
it's in the
as you said yourself.
mindset, or yeah,
Yeah, so exactly. Okay, it is then the responsibility of people to go to such platforms and
yeah,
not listen to just one site or not just
exactly.
just blindly believe what a person is saying, but rather
Blindly following.
yeah, rather go to different people or
Mm,
rather go to different forums that are maybe more authentic. For example, there are a
mm,
lot of research papers lying around talking about a lot of substances that are included in a certain cream or medication that you're going to use for yourself. So a lot of
mm.
responsibility lies upon the user itself, right? As you said yourself.
User itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a lot of or there was this platform has been used for other discussions such as social concern, self-image, media representations, and skincare community. I believe a lot of, for example, in Pakistan, I believe which was a big success for Pakistani community was when a big namesake of beauty product Fair and Lovely had to rebrand themselves as Glow and Lovely, right? So this
Yeah.
actually sent a powerful message for all those people. Okay, it's not about the being fair is something that should not be the goal, right? It should rather be
Yeah.
a healthy skin, right?
Healthy
So
skin. Healthy
so
skin, definitely.
so at the end of this podcast, may before we actually come to the conclusion, मैं आपसे एक पूछना चाहता हूँ कि कोई हेल्दी स्किन रूटीन थोड़ी सी बता दें कि क्या होनी चाहिए for people that are listening.
Okay. Healthy skin routine is very, very simple.
Okay.
Eat good, uh, drink good, and decrease your products. Do not over tease your skin. Select a good moisturizer and a good sunblock, as I've already mentioned.
Yeah.
You go to any good dermatologist, and they will prescribe you a good product. And work for yourself, for your own self, not to impress others, because the first thing you wake up and you look at is your own self. So you have to look good for your own self. If you think it that way, then you will, prioritize yourself towards healthy skin, not a fairer skin, or not, as we have already mentioned, a skin which is not your original skin tone. So that is the simplest skin routine you can adopt from today.
Yeah, personally, as you know yourself, maybe acne का बहुत शिकार रहा था, as you yourself know, and Alhamdulillah,
Yeah.
I'm so much better now. But the thing that mentions, I'll ask you to actually recommend some products over here because it is very rare कि हमारे podcast में कोई ऐसे लोग आए कि हम उनको कहें कि एक product recommend कर दें as a sunblock, because it's rather safe coming from you than people actually going to YouTube or Google asking for products, right? So
Okay.
before that, I'd
Okay.
say uh, myself, I have been an acne patient for very long, and right now my acne has subsided and the treatment is ongoing, but I've improved so much, and it's all thanks to the medication and
Your
treatment
doctor.
that the dermatologist, including you gave me, and And Alhamdulillah, I'm doing much better today. So it is my advice to anyone who's listening out there that don't just go to any forums or do what I did for a long time, that is eat this and eat that. Just go to a doctor and get something that actually works for yourself, right, rather than deteriorating the situation in the long run. So yeah, could you just recommend a sunblock and
Yeah.
uh
Instead of,
then
naming any brand, all of our listeners must be really educated. I would like to, specify the ingredients.
okay,
Knowing the ingredients is more important. So if you go for a sunblock, you should, it's written on the label, you should look for its sun protection factor, SPF. It should be
SPF?
more than 15, more than 30, more than 50, right? And you should go for a broad spectrum sunblock. It will be mentioned on the packing. It protects against both UVA and UVB. And if you have oily skin, you should go for sebum control gel. So these are the general specifications of a good sunblock. And as far as the moisturizer is concerned, you should go for a number of good moisturizers available. You can uh, choose a product which claims to have hyaluronic acid and ceramide in it, and if it's authentic.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. And last question जो है ना वो अगर आपने मेरी podcast देखी है, you must know कि last question में हर every guest ये मैं surprise question करता हूँ so that people give an answer from the top of their head. वो है कि recommend our book to our listeners, ठीक है? और क्योंकि a book reading is something that is a dying art, and I want people to take away a good book, not relating to skincare or anything, any good book that you've recently read and you want people to read.
Okay, I would like to recommend two books that have been my favorite. God of Small Things
Oh, it's
and
amazing.
Alchemist. And yeah, and they have been my all-time favorite. And I would like my readers to also read Raj Gidh. That would change your whole perspective towards life.
Which one? The third one was?
By Bano Qudsia. Raj
Okay.
Gidh by Bano.
Okay, I'll link them in description. And thank you so much. And before we actually leave, I just say that I'd love you to have you again on this podcast to actually discuss the whole other side of yourself, which is story writing.
Okay.
Although आप उर्दू में
Okay.
लिखती हैं और मैं I am a bad reader, उर्दू reader, but मैं चाहता हूँ कि आप अगली दफा आएं और we actually discuss that whole scenario, because I've read some of your stories in anticipation of this podcast. They were amazing. They were all filled with some sort of
Thank
a
you.
moral takeaways
Message.
that existed right there. Or मैं चाहता हूँ कि I want to know the whole development of that page, which is now very famous, and I want to see कि वो क्या develop है, वो कहाँ से stories आती हैं और सारा कुछ. But if we discuss that, तो वो ये podcast बड़ी लंबी हो जाएगी. So thank you so much, Dr. Saiba. Thank you so much, Appa, for coming
It
to the
was a pleasure.
podcast. Thank you so much to everyone who listened to the podcast, and please share and subscribe to Let's Talk Pakistan so that we can keep bringing such amazing content and podcast for you in the future. Thank you. Allah Hafiz.